Hello, madam. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you see me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. We'll just check your audio and video.
Okay, perfect.
Good morning, ma'am. Welcome. This is Collins from Sacred Art College, the
Thank you.
technical
You
team.
people are doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's a pleasure to help you. Ma'am, could you please adjust your screen? If you are working in a laptop, could you just flip it down so that you will be visible more?
Is this okay?
Bit more, ma'am. Bit more. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. Better, ma'am. Better. Uh, will you be sharing that the screen, ma'am? Could you push it towards yourself, so that because much of ceiling is seen. That's why.
Okay. Is this okay?
Yes, ma'am. Fine, ma'am. Okay. Uh, yes, ma'am. You can be in that position, ma'am. Are you sharing any PowerPoint
Yes,
presentation?
definitely yes.
Can we go for a check?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Why not?
Yes. Yes. Just a minute, ma'am. Just a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. You can go on.
Okay. This is what it is. Actually, it's a video,
Sure, ma'am.
but I'm sure you can see the.
Yes, ma'am. It's opening up.
It's visible, right?
Visible and audio is also good. Audio is also playing.
Yeah,
But,
that's why
but
today
we
I
get a small break in audio. Is that the same in the your presentation itself? Can you play it, ma'am?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Fine, ma'am. You can go for the next slide so that we'll work. Yes, ma'am.
I think it works fine, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Oh,
Would you like to skip the slides for the second, third, fourth slide so that we'll see whether it is?
sure, why not?
Do these slides have sound, ma'am? Audio? Do these
No,
slides
no,
have?
no, not at
No.
all.
Okay. Only animation. All right.
Yeah.
Yes. No problem. No problem.
So it's clear, isn't it, from that side? Because when I'm
Perfect, ma'am.
presenting, I wouldn't know what the other side is looking at. So that is why.
Yes, ma'am. It is perfect. Our humble request is that uh, if when you go back, your audio gets disturbed. When you lean back, slightly lean back or something like that, when your audio gets dimmed.
Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just have my headsets on so that I can check.
Ah, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Good thing you're doing this. And in between, in case if you feel my audio is not audible enough, kindly don't hesitate to tell me about it. You can interrupt me and tell me, ma'am, your audio is not good enough or something. Is this
Uh,
okay?
Rather, we prefer to send a private chat, ma'am. Rather, we prefer to send a private chat if you are able to see it. Otherwise, we'll send it to because while you are presenting. Anyway, if you allow us to do so, we'll be
I don't mind. I don't mind. I have no
okay, ma'am.
objection.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Is this clear? Is even if I lean back, is this clear? Is the
This is
sound
clear,
clear?
ma'am. This is more perfect, more
Okay,
suitable. Yes, ma'am.
fine.
I
So
think
I'll,
Professor Kadiresan is also online.
oh,
Uh,
namaste, sir. How are you?
just a minute, ma'am. Just a minute. He had entered.
I think father is also here. Good
Yes,
morning, father.
I'm trying to put them online. Okay. Ma'am, I think they will come back, I believe. Other than that, are you able to hear the audio? We are from our end. We receive it perfect, ma'am. It's
Yeah,
all fine, very
it's
fine.
loud and clear. It's loud and clear.
Good, ma'am. Good, ma'am. Nothing else, ma'am. So we'll be starting it in next maybe 15 minutes, ma'am. Could you please
Sure.
be online? We'll connect you. once the moderator once she comes in, will.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Thank you so much.
thank you. Can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
unmute my video for the time being?
Just
I mean, can I stop my
stop.
video for the time?
You can, yeah, you have an option. You can both mute audio and video, no problem.
Okay, thank you very much.
Once the session begins, 2 minutes before that, we will give the unmute option, so you can always unmute yourself.
Okay, I'll sure. Thank you very much.
Have a
Great
great
job.
day, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Have a
Thank
great
you
day.
very much.
Thank you. Jennifer, ma'am. Jennifer, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, I can
Fine,
hear
ma'am.
you, sir.
Very fine. All the best.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Please
I'm
stay
trying
online.
past 20 minutes. I couldn't come
No.
in.
Yeah. Your name was not visible. See, now it's very
Okay.
All the best.
Okay.
All the best, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Hello? Sir, good morning, sir. From Collins.
Good morning. Good morning,
sir.
Dr. Collins.
Have a great day, sir. Good morning.
Thank you.
Sir, both the
Good morning,
moderator
sir.
and good morning, sir. Very good morning, sir. Edison, sir. Good morning. Have a great day.
Sir, good morning, sir. Collins, sir.
Good morning, sir. Very good morning, sir. Good morning.
Sir, here is the instruction given by our sir.
Yes.
Please mute the audio, sir. Please, sir. Sir, Collins, sir. Hello. Sir, Collins, sir. Hello.
Sorry. Yes, sir. Yes. Tell me, sir.
Can you hear me, sir? Please mute the audio, sir.
Oh, you want to stop the presentation?
It's okay, sir. No problem. Sir, the second presenter. Okay, sir. The second presenter of this day's session.
Yes, sir.
Professor Clement, sir.
Lourdes. Okay, Lourdes.
Okay, sir. Already, yes, sir. Already, our sir sent the video.
Okay.
To your drive.
Okay.
Okay, sir. After Ravichandran sir's welcome address.
Okay.
Then you play the video, sir.
Is it shared to me?
Yes, sir. Which is shared in your Google Drive. That Clement sir's speech.
Okay, sir. I'll download it.
It is recorded one, sir.
Sure, sir.
Please check that one and then please send the message, sir.
Sure, sir.
question answer session, sir will come.
Okay.
Clement sir will be coming, and then he will attend the question answer session, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Dr. Collins,
Yes, sir. Available, sir. Good morning.
can I have a word with Dr. Sujata?
Sure, sir. I'll unmute.
Dr. Sujata?
Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, Dr. Sujata. Wish you all the best. I am sure you will have a rocking session.
Can you hear me now? Good
Yes.
morning, Professor. How
Yes.
are you?
Fine. Did you hear what I said?
No, not yet, because I just put on my headsets now.
Okay, now I just wished you all the best.
Thank you very
And
much.
said
I really need that.
How you will have a rocking session today. You will
Thank
rock
you so much.
the participants. We are there with you. And
Thank you so much. That is
looking
very
forward
important.
to your sharing.
Thank you.
Mary
you so
Jennifer,
much.
all the best. Dr. Collins, you can play the music if you want. Thank you.
Did you have your breakfast, Professor?
Professor Dharma Devi. Hello. Dr. Collins.
Professor, good morning.
Sir, good morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Good
Sorry.
morning,
Good
sir.
morning. Yes, sir. Yes.
Dr. Collins,
sir.
Jennifer wants to unmute her mic.
Sure, sir.
She's ready. I think she wants to have a word and then start.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Yes, she's
Yeah.
online.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good morning. Colin sir, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jennifer, we can hear you. Jennifer, we can hear you. Good morning, Jennifer.
Okay, good morning, sir.
All the best.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am is asking us to start little early. She's sending message.
Your father has come.
Father, just a minute.
Maybe father.
Just a minute.
Yes.
Wait. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, I am here very much.
Yes.
I am here very much, sir. We can begin.
Yeah. It is 10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock. We can begin. Yes. Jennifer, ma'am, ready. You can go.
Happy morning to one and all present here. Welcome back to the 4th day International Virtual Conference 2020, Industry 4.0 scenario, redefining language and literary studies. I am Mary Jennifer, Head UG Department of English, Shift to Sacred Heart College, and I am going to be the moderator of this session, Blended
Keep
Learning.
the mic a little away, ma. Keep the mic a
Teaching and
little away.
learning environment is embracing number of innovations due to the advancement of technology and the current political and social conditions. One such innovation is blended learning. It is a new paradigm in the field of education which combines both the traditional classroom teaching with online teaching. It has become the new normal and widely adopted across the world. Since it takes the best from both the traditional classroom teaching and online, especially the technology-driven teaching. To enrich more about this emerging area of education, we have an eminent resource person with us, that is Dr. Sujata Menon, language teacher and trainer at Jazan University, Saudi Arabia. She has 24 years of teaching experience at tertiary level and having many publications to her credit. So far, she has conducted more than 30 workshops, webinars, and training programs. She is also a storyteller. Her main contribution lies in technology-enhanced language learning and material design. She won the Excellence Award for Publication in 2019. Above all, she is a die-hard and passionate teacher. We are very eager to listen to you, ma'am. Now, the session is yours. Over to Dr. Sujata Menon.
Thank you very much for that nice introduction. My earnest thanks to the conveners, Loyola College, Thiruvalluvar University, Sacred Heart College, and Government Thirumagal Mills College for opting for me as a resource person. My special thanks to Professor Anthony Sami for suggesting my name as a resource person. As Dr. Mary Jennifer rightly pointed out, I'm basically a storyteller. So let me start the session with a story. Once upon a time, that's how stories usually begin. Once upon a time, there was a mama rat and a baby rat. They lived in their rat hole, peaceful, and happy, contented. One day, mama rat told baby rat, "Look, son, all you do is to eat and sleep. When are you going to learn to steal like a rat? You have to get into kitchens, you have to open refrigerators, and you must learn to steal. So it's high time I start training you in that direction. So Mama Rat and Baby Rat climbed the pipes. They scrambled along alleys. And finally, they reached a house. Mama Rat nudged Baby Rat and said, look, this is the refrigerator. See, everything is so cool. Open it and you have an entire world of food open for you. So Baby Rat opened it and he saw a lot of, cakes and pastries and things like that decked inside, and he was very happy. Just as he was about to eat, he heard a very unfamiliar sound. See, he had been in his rat hole all along. He heard a very unfamiliar sound. Meow. Baby Rat only squeaked out like a typical rat. Mama Rat said, son, run! And Baby Rat and Mama Rat scrambled down to their rat hole finally. Mama Rat said, son, what have you done? That is a cat. Cats and rats don't get along. They are enemies. Son, you must learn to mew like a cat. Only then you can cheat cats next time. So learn to mew like a cat. So every day, Baby Rat listened to the sounds of the cats and practiced them in the corner of his rat hole. After a few days, when Mama Rat was convinced, she said, son, let's go again. So this time, they went to another house. They were searching the larder for food. And this time, it was a different sound that came. Ruff. Baby Rat, in all innocence, said, meow. And that was it. Mama Rat said, son, run. And they ran along alleys. They scrambled down their rat hole. And Mama Rat said, son, that was a dog. Dogs and cats don't get along. So, son, please learn to bark like a dog. Baby Rat said, Ma. No. Learn to bark like a dog. So every day, Baby Rat made it a point to catch the sound of dogs and to imitate them. A few days later, Mama Rat said, son, let's go to another house. So they went to the kitchen. They were scrambling for food when Baby Rat heard a familiar sound, meow. And Mama Rat said, son, bark. And Baby Rat said, ruff. And that was it. The cat thought there was a dog hiding somewhere in the vicinity and took to its heels. Mama Rat and Baby Rat raided the kitchen to their heart's content and literally rolled their way into their rat hole. And Baby Rat was so happy. He said, wow, that was a feast indeed. And Mama Rat said, son, that is the advantage of learning a second language. So ladies and gentlemen, what does this tell you? It's not just language. When you learn something, it is purely for survival. That is the main reason. You may say, I'm learning language for communication, to improve my knowledge, to do this, to do that. But basically, the root level of it is we learn something new for survival. And this is exactly what this particular webinar is all about. Teaching you how to go about your survival skills. Now, the topic that has been given there is blended learning. I've made a slight modification. I want to call it redefining blended learning. So, can we start? So I'd like to start off by talking about industry 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm not going to talk much about it. Regarding industry 1 and 2, I have nothing much to talk about. But I'd just like you to take a good look. Now you are all looking at industry 1, the very beginnings of industrialization, where you have steam power. Now this is about industry 2. They talk about how electricity was used in mass production and it was used further for automobile production. There is one point which most books or almost all books forget, to mention. Something which is absolutely important in today's setup. I will come to it later. Now, partial automation. When you say partial automation, it is like your semi-automatic. So in industry 3, we had the role of computers doing half of our work and human beings completing the other half. So this is industry 3 as far as technology is concerned. Now we move on to industry 4. Now these are two terms that you really need to understand. Ubiquitous. Now, at least 2 decades ago, if somebody had used this term ubiquitous, they would have always equated it to God. Because ubiquitous means omnipresent, present everywhere. So ubiquitous computing, computing found in watches, computing found in pens, computing found in smartphones, and you have softwares wherein you can use a smartphone as a remote control for your air conditioner, for your washing machine, for your television. So computing found in every aspect of life. Normalization, there is nothing special about technology. Technology is an integral part of our life. It is so intricately woven with our life that there is nothing unique about technology. This is what normalization says. Now, look at these terms: ubiquitous computing, computing found in every aspect of life, normalization, there is nothing new about technology. But look at the sad state of affairs. Today, we have gathered here for a webinar, which is going to teach you survival skills on how to use technology in the right way. Isn't that a little ironic, ladies and gentlemen? I will tell you why it's so ironic. These days, we have a lot of terms coming up. Technology, assisted language learning, technology, enhanced language learning, TOL, TEL, MOL, mobile assisted language learning. But the generic term that I'd like to use is CALL, computer assisted language learning. For your kind information, this gentleman that you see here is Donald Bitzer. Now, he was the man who designed the Plato project in the University of Illinois in 1960. Ladies and gentlemen, please note the point: in 1960, towards the end of Industry 2. Industry 3 starts from the 1970, okay? 1960, towards the end of Industry 2, in the University of Illinois, the Plato project, P-L-A-T-O, the Plato project was designed. Plato is the acronym of Programmed Logic for Automatic Teaching Operations. So this man designed the Plato project in 1960. And what you see down here was the computer that was used in those days. These computers were gigantic. They almost fitted an entire room. And these were called mainframe computers. Now, what you see there is the ELIAC 1 computer on which this project was run. And there is a famous call expert called Mike Levy, L-E-V-Y. And Mike Levy correctly says, call began with the Plato project in his book, Computer-Assisted Language Learning, Concept and Conceptualization. He says, call began with the Plato project. The term call was not used until 1983, but the first time a computer was used for language teaching and learning was in 1960. Mark the point, ladies and gentlemen, 1960. The computer was first used for language teaching and learning. It was not just for the teaching of English, it was also for the teaching of other foreign languages like French, Spanish, and all that. So, the origins of computer-assisted language learning, when I say computer-assisted language learning, I'm using it as an all-encompassing term for mobile apps like tabs, smartphones, and for PC devices like laptops and desktops and things like that. So it started in the 1960s, but it has taken us, sadly speaking, 6 decades in the COVID to really understand computer-assisted language learning in the true sense of the word. Only in 1983, this term call was officially used at the symposium, the TESOL symposium. Before that, the term CAI, computer-aided instruction or computer-assisted instruction was used. And why did they change it from CAI to call? For 2 reasons. Number one, when you say instruction, you're making it teacher-centered. So look at the change, the shift from the teacher to the learner. That is why it's language learning, not teaching. The second reason, when you say computer-assisted instruction or computer-aided instruction, we are talking about all disciplines. We are not particularly focusing on language teaching and learning. So these were the 2 reasons why CAI became call in 1983. But even before that, 23 years before that, call had already began, as Mike Levy says, with the Plato project. So this is the awareness that I want you to have, that, you know, we go by the misnomer, we go by the illusion that if you have a language lab in our college, it means it is computer-assisted language learning. If you allot a particular activity to your students from the teacher console, that is computer-assisted language learning. It is, but in a very narrow sense, ladies and gentlemen. We really have not internalized this concept, and this is something which we cannot deny. We may be a developing country, but we have never stood behind as far as education is concerned. But why have we stayed way behind as far as technology is concerned? We have built a formidable wall around ourselves, even stronger than the Great Wall of China. And we say that, no, that is different. That is for the software people. That is for computer people, not for us. We have pulled our wires here so taut. We have hardwired things into our system so rigidly that we are not ready to accept technology. It has taken us, as I told you, 6 decades in the COVID to really now look for apps, look for, you know, screen sharing software, screen recording software. Thanks to the COVID, at least in this sense alone. So now that I have set the ground for what the real situation is and how far we have lagged behind, let's move on to what I really want to talk about. I'm definitely not here to start a cookery class or a cooking class, nor am I trying to stimulate your taste buds. No. I want you to take a look at these three images that you see on the screen. Because these three images have a bearing on what I'm going to talk about. The first is the coconut chutney, which I like very much. The next is the fruit salad. And the third is mango pulp. Okay, take a very good look. Now, this is one of the definitions of blended learning. There are more than 1,400 definitions of blended learning. So this is one of the definitions of blended learning. Now, I'd like you to look at what I have highlighted in green. Now, please take a look at this definition. It says to combine various pedagogical approaches. Okay, it could be various approaches, methods, and techniques or strategies with or without instructional technology. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the original meaning of blended learning. Blending different approaches, methods, or techniques in order to create a personalized teaching learning experience. This was the original meaning of blended learning. So if you look at some of our earlier classrooms, most teachers adopted what is called the eclectic approach, where they took aspects of various approaches, methods, and techniques, put them together, and created a wonderful chutney. Now, why am I giving you the analogy of the chutney here, the coconut chutney here? What are the ingredients of a coconut chutney? You have the coconut, white in color. You have the chilies, red in color. You have curry leaves. They're optional, green in color. You have a pinch of tamarind, brown in color. You have salt, which is again white in color. You have chickpeas, which are yellow in color. You have onions, which are mauve in color. So what exactly is happening here? All these are combined to produce a color, to produce a paste, which is of a completely different identity. So this is exactly what original blended learning used to be, ladies and gentlemen. We combined various approaches, methods, and techniques, I repeat, into a concrete whole to give it a different shape, to give it a different identity, because you wanted to personalize your classroom experience. This was the original blended learning that we all knew of. And many of you might have already used this in your classroom. Now let's move on to more conventional definitions of blended learning. Now, this is similar to what Dr. Mary Jenniff was talking about when she introduced the topic. So, combining face-to-face instruction with computer-mediated instruction. So, you are dealing here in this definition with two different modalities. The teacher in a brick and mortar classroom and the computer screen, or the laptop, or the mobile, or the tablet screen. So we are dealing with two distinct modalities. Now I'd like you to look at the fruit salad. You have different fruits put together, but each fruit has its own identity there in the salad. If you notice, you have strawberries, you have raspberries, you have blackberries, you have cherries, you have the kiwi, you have blueberries. Every fruit has its own distinct identity. Similarly, blended learning is supposed to be a form of learning, of a teaching learning process, where face-to-face learning and online learning retain their specific identities. Each modality maintains its own specific identity. So this is what blended learning generally comes about to say. Now, I come from a university where online learning or blended learning are not new to us. I've been teaching 1/3 of my career at Jazan University, Saudi Arabia. And let me tell you, right from day one, we are used to blended learning. We have an LMS. We earlier had an LMS called Jusur. Later on, it was replaced by JUMP, J-U-M-P. And then now we have settled down with Blackboard Collaborate, which is a widely recognized LMS, international LMS. So from day one, we have been trained in the use of blended learning and online learning. And as far as Saudi Arabia is concerned, distance education means online learning. So those of us who have been teaching distance learning courses apart from our regular schedule are quite versed in online teaching and learning. Of course, the COVID brought in 100% online teaching and learning. We did have our own, teething problems, but we had excellent technical support. So I'm not talking about my point of view alone here. I'm just, mentioning it in passing. The situation here is not of Saudi Arabia, which is a developed country where we have excellent technical support and excellent infrastructure. I'm talking about the present situation here for teachers in India, particularly those who come from the semi-urban and the rural areas who find it extremely difficult, who are not trained in the use of technology. So what has happened? There is an absolute upsetting of balance rather, I would say. A sudden and swift shift. Overnight, you were suddenly told that no more face-to-face teaching. If at all you haven't done anything, teach them online. So a shift in modality. So is the balance affected? Definitely. It has taken teachers by surprise. We definitely did not anticipate this. At least teachers in India did not anticipate this sudden shift, and they were not prepared. I have been talking to friends in schools and in colleges for the past 1 month because I felt that whatever feedback they offer will offer me rich input for this particular webinar. Now, what is the present situation? There is a change in modality. We have changed from, face-to-face teaching to online teaching, no doubt about it. But is there any change in the internal structure? I don't think there's any change. Earlier, we used to stand before the class and lecture to the students. Now we sit before a computer screen or a laptop screen or a mobile screen and we lecture to the students. So is there a change in the internal structure? I don't think so. In most cases, no. Is there a change in content? I don't think so. In most cases, no. I have been interviewing students. I have been interviewing teachers to, find out what they think about it. And they say, what is there? No difference. So here you see the pulp. There's just been a change in form. From solid, it's moved to semi-solid. That's all. This is exactly the situation as far as India and most countries in the world are concerned. This is the situation, ladies and gentlemen, with most teachers who did not possess the necessary and who do not possess the necessary survival skills. So, is there a solution? Of course there is. Now, this is where we need to redefine blended learning. Now, I was particularly fascinated by this particular definition of Zubian. And, Zubian and the others say that it should be a pedagogical approach. It is a pedagogical approach which combines aspects of classroom teaching, aspects of face-to-face teaching with aspects of online teaching and learning. Mind you, we are not talking directly about modalities here. We are dealing with aspects. It makes a world of difference, ladies and gentlemen. So Zuban et al., Zubian and the others don't say that you should combine classroom teaching and computer-mediated communication or instruction. No, they are saying combine the best of both. So what exactly are the aspects of classroom teaching? The teacher socializes with the students. The teacher has a greater sense of proxemics with the students. You know, it's the teacher's own world when he or she enters the classroom. So it is the teacher's sense of proxemics with the students. So this is what we are dealing with here. So this is the advantage of face-to-face learning. And let me tell you, research has clearly proved that best retention is seen in face-to-face learning. There is no doubt about it at all. So let us combine the best aspects of face-to-face learning, teaching and learning, with the best of online learning. Rather than, I want you to look at the last part, which I have highlighted in a different color. Rather than a ratio of delivery modalities, instead of saying 50% face-to-face learning, 50% I teach you online, instead of talking about modalities, let us look at a proper approach, an integrated, holistic approach, an effective approach which combines the two. So here we're not focusing on modalities, we're focusing on aspects. And this is where I'd like to take off. Now, what is the greatest challenge that today's teacher faces, as far as India particularly is concerned? The threat to one's sense of proxemics. You were in your classroom, it was your own private world, you and your students. But now, when things go online, when you're in the open, when you're under the scanner, what's happening? Your sense of proxemics, your sense of space is invaded. You're perpetually under the scanner. Oh, the teacher is not teaching like this. The teacher is not doing this way. The teacher is not doing that. So what happens? The teacher is reduced now to a voiceover. The teacher refuses to come on screen in most, lectures. They share the screen, but they don't show their faces. I have watched at least 78 to 81 online lectures, and I noticed that in most cases, teachers have become a voiceover. The teacher who was lively, dynamic, who was trying his or her best to perform well in the classroom is now hiding under the screen, behind the screen, call it what you will. So these are some of the opinions I got from my friends. I asked them, what do you think about online teaching now? One of them said, it's like driving up a blind alley. I really don't know where I'm going. And why does this statement come? Because they're not trained in the use of technology. We have not optimized on the use of technology in language teaching and learning. A harsh reality to cope with. Harsh reality. As harsh as the COVID itself. So where is the teacher now? Now this joke came ages ago when the computer was introduced. This came ages ago. But today, this particular cartoon makes me think, in a way, this is what today's teachers are doing, most of them at least. There are more than 39,000 colleges in India. And we have 1.4 million teachers. And we have 37 million students. This is the statistics of the All India Survey for Higher Education. And out of 1.4 million teachers, survey has also proved that 91.7% of teachers are not qualified enough to meet the challenge of today. This is the situation, ladies and gentlemen. It may sound bleak, but this is stark reality. So what is the modified blend that I'm going to talk about? Now, in this modified blended learning, in our redefinition of blended learning, let us combine those lectures where the teacher appears on screen, where the teacher gives the impression, a look-alike of face-to-face communication, and screen recordings. Let us have a few recordings where you don't show your face, where if you're not confident enough, you go behind screen, you're a voiceover. And let us have a blend where we also show our face on screen and we speak with a certain level of confidence. So for that, what is important? You need to have the confidence to face the classroom differently. And in order to face the classroom differently, you must first know who we are dealing with. In most cases, we all seem to read about a lot of things about Generation X, Generation Y, the baby boomers, the traditionalists and all that. We seem to read about all that, but how many of it is really internalized? That is a $1 million question. Now, most of us are teaching Generation Z learners. Now, the time frame differs from book to book. Some say 2000 onwards, some say 1995 onwards, some say 94, some say 96. So I've chosen a very convenient point, 1996. So most of us are teaching Generation Z or Generation Z learners. So what are the characteristics of these Generation Z learners? What you see them in class alone is not your understanding of these learners. There's a lot more to it. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, why am I providing a lot of information that too on unwanted things? Let me explain. Now we say socialites. They spend a lot of their time on social media. And according to them, if something is not shared, it is not worth it. So even if they're having a candy, they have to take a selfie and they have to post it on social media. That is Generation Z. They are foodies. They spend more than 7% of their income on eating outside, on buying different kinds of food. Okay? Now, why am I saying all this? I'll come to it. Multi-viewers. Now, a few months ago, when the COVID had started and I was feeling terrible sitting at home, I opted for Netflix. Now, as far as Saudi Arabia is concerned, we have 3 plans in Netflix. One is the 29 Riyal plan. The other is the 39 Riyal plan. And the other is the 56 Riyal plan. Okay. Now, in the 29 Riyal plan, you can only watch one screen at a time. In the 39 Riyal plan, you can watch 2 screens at the same time. And in the 56 Riyal, the premium plan, you can watch up to 4 screens at a time. I thought, what nonsense. Why should I watch 2 screens at a time? If I'm going to watch a film or if I'm going to watch a soap or a serial or an episode, I just need to, log on to one particular screen. What nonsense. Then I realized only later on when I was reading about generations, I realized that Netflix was not mad. I was the ignorant idiot here. So when you say one screen, they were catering to Generation X, the exennials like me, into my 40s, the exennials like me. Who could watch only one screen at a time? The X and the Y generations. The Y generation, a bit better than us, watching two screens at a time, the 39 real scheme. And Generation Z, mind you, are multi-viewers. They can watch up to 5 screens at a time, ladies and gentlemen. They are multi-viewers and they are multitaskers. They are very good at multitasking. And you can't expect them to be loyal to one particular company. They are job hoppers. Aren't we job hoppers? Haven't we hopped from one job to another? Yes, we have. But our ratio was less. Their ratio is more. More than 90% of them are job hoppers. They are altruists. They're more interested in community service. They may seem a little playful. They may seem the happy-go-lucky type, but they are altruists. They want to indulge in community service, social service. They are interested in the betterment of humanity. There's no doubt about it at all. Explorers, be it buying online, be it chatting online, be it trying out something new online, they want to explore. They want to learn for themselves. They don't want people breathing down their back, giving them instructions, do this, do that. They would like to experiment for themselves. However hard you try to convince them, they are explorers. They want to experiment for themselves. Updaters. Sadly speaking, many of us have become outdaters, but they are different. They are updaters. They constantly update their devices and they constantly update their knowledge on the trends. So they are updaters. Planners. They may look, like those who try to imitate the hippie styles sometimes. They may remind you of the bygone generation of hippies sometimes. No, they are planners. And their type of learning is visual. Most of them go by visual learning and kinesthetic learning, learning by doing. What we call participatory learning, learning by doing. So this is the challenge that we have before us, ladies and gentlemen. We have a group of explorers, we have a group of updaters. They may not have sufficient proficiency in English, but you can't rule out their qualities because they don't have sufficient proficiency in English. You are going to deal with them. So if you're going to just mimic your traditional lecture method on screen, you will only turn out to be a dismal failure. And mind you, they have shorter attention span. Research recently has proved that those of them who get distracted very quickly have more gray cells in the superior parietal lobe of the brain, the left superior parietal lobe of the brain. And you might be wondering, oh, more gray cells means more intelligence. Actually, as years go by, when your brain becomes more mature, the unwanted neurons are cut off. Okay, the unwanted neurons are cut off in order to make your brain function more effectively. So when you say more gray cells in one particular part of the brain, it means more immaturity. They don't know really how to, channelize. So shorter attention span, they get distracted quickly. Remember one thing, when you offer them a distraction, it is a strategy. But when they get distracted, it is an apology for teaching. Now, in a few years to come, you will have Generation Alpha. Now, this statement was made by some people even of Generation Z, but no. Now, people say no. Generation Alpha is literally born with a smartphone under its arm. Digital natives in every sense of the word. So, where are we in facing these challenges? Now, this is only a suggestion. My webinar is meant to be descriptive and suggestive, not prescriptive. I'm not here to prescribe. You know your teaching learning atmosphere, your scenario. You know how best to model your classroom. So I'm not here to prescribe norms for you. No, definitely not. So when we say restructuring the teaching process, how do we structure the classroom of 50 minutes or 1 hour? How do we go about it? You start off with a warm-up. Now, when you say warm-up, the communicative approach clearly brought out this idea that a warm-up should always be related to the text. Now, please, we have moved past the communicative approach. We have moved past the 60s and the 70s. We are now in 2020. A warm-up can be anything. It can be, as Professor Ravichandran rightly said, it could be a Supandi joke. It could be a song. And don't always go by the fact that it should only be an English song. Come on, don't breathe too much of English down their back like a dragon. Make them listen to a Hindi song, a Tamil song, a Malayalam song, whatever song is popular at the time. Make them listen to a joke. Watch a joke. Watch a cartoon. Present something which is astonishingly true. So warm up. The first 5 minutes to 6 minutes, give them a warm up. So what is happening here? You are making them, feel comfortable. So it is a social strategy as far as teaching learning is concerned. It is an effective strategy appealing to their emotions. And it is a metacognitive strategy also teaching them, gearing them up for the learning process. Now in Suggestopedia, in one of the teaching methods, Suggestopedia, Lozanov clearly says that the learner should be made to relax. Only then teaching can be more effective and learning can also be effective. So this is more suggestopedic, I would say. Then recapitulation. Now, if this is not your first class, recapitulate. And how can you recapitulate? You can start off basically by giving them a quiz of just 3 to 5 questions on Google Forms. Share the link with them in the chat box. Ask them to do it. So what happens? You're offering them yet another diversion, yet another distraction, and then go ahead with your presentation. And when you say go ahead with your presentation, I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, you must have a Word file. I'm not asking you to prepare slides. Prepare a Word file where the font is slightly bigger. Have a bigger font. Prepare a Word file and scroll down and help them learn, because when you deliver lectures, there are so many names, so many concepts that students may not even know about. If you're good at typing into the chat window on and off, you can do that. If not, use a Word file. Open a plain Word document and type into it, if not the board. So that way you are helping your students. Substitute the board with a Word file. Make the font bigger. Change your background styles. So all this would mean a memory strategy or a cognitive strategy. When you recapitulate, it is definitely a memory strategy. It is one of the forms of mnemonics. When you present, you're not only appealing to their knowledge, their memory, you're also appealing to their sense of cognition. So it is a memory strategy. It is also a cognitive strategy. Now, after you present for a while, again, provide them a distraction, provide them a recapitulation. Give them again a set of 3 questions. Use different tools, different apps, give them different questions. 3, maximum 3 or 5, not more than that. If you're going to give them a 20 set of quiz, they're going to feel bored. Remember, Dr. Yasmin Muchindu rightly said chunking. That is very important in a classroom strategy. Chunking. Break it up into smaller components. Use the graded approach. Break it up into smaller components. And let me tell you, the more the incubation period is, the more effective the learning process is. And sign off with a smile. Tell them you will meet them tomorrow. And let me tell you something. Most teachers don't even know the names of their students in the classroom. They know maybe the names of a select few. That is not the way it goes. You need to learn the names of your students. Let me tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, when you call your students by names, it means a lot. You're not just referring to their sense of identity. You are making them feel personal. You are giving that personal touch, which really helps you in the teaching learning process. I've always explained this. I've already explained this, so I don't think I'm going to do it again. Now, when I said using tools, I'll finish quite quickly. Using tools, you must use a variety of apps and tools or platforms that will help your learners. If you're going to stagnate only on Google Forms, then after a while it becomes boring for your learners too. So using the right tool at the right time in the right manner, that is very important. So what is very important for you? Using the right tool, number one. Two, using a user-friendly tool. It should be user-friendly for you while designing. It should be user-friendly for the learners also. And the third point, is it free or fee? Because I perfectly understand the situation now in India, with most institutions going on pay cuts and even loss of salary. I really pity the teachers who are trying their best to put on a brave front. So I'd like to introduce you to a tool which is absolutely free. It is called Whisk Online, WISC, Whisk Online. Now, this is an open source platform created by the Wisconsin Institute of Technology. And this platform has 20 games. When I say games, don't be afraid. You don't have to design any game. It is the easiest platform for you. Now, I'd like you to just watch this video. Okay, I'll pause the video in between to explain what it is all about. Now here, on the right-hand corner, you have options of sign in and sign up. If you already are a member, you sign in. Or if you're not a member, you sign up. Okay? Now they will send an activation link to your email, to your registered email. You just have to click on it and then you become a member. Okay. So now I sign in with my Google account and my password. Now, please don't check remember me. It's not safe. Avoid, people hacking into your system or phishing. So this is my web page. Okay. Now this is how it is. My username is there on the right-hand corner, and you have this games. You have three options: play games which others have created, build games, create your own games. And my games offers you the list of the games that you have created. Now, I'd like you to understand one more thing. You saw the word rejected in one of the games there. When I had become a member here newly, I clicked on submit to arcade. And some of these games which are designed are specifically designed for my final year students whom I teach computer assisted language learning. So they rejected it, saying these are specifically designed for your students. So others may not be able to take it. So if it is something on grammar or vocabulary or generally with literature or language, we will accept it. So if you look at this, the demonstrators, it is submitted, meaning it has been accepted. When you say submit to arcade, it goes into public domain. Now now look at this. When you're creating your set of questions, it will always be by default private. After that, you have to click public. Only then your students or others will be able to see it. Now look at it. It is very easy for you to look at. Look, you have the option, okay? You can add a maximum of 4 options. Now let's say I remove an option here. You see the plus icon next to answers? If I click on it, I will have an extra option. So I can have a maximum of 4 options. All of them are multiple choice questions. But let me tell you, you will only be creating multiple choice questions. But when it is changed into a game, each game is different. There are 20 different games that are created out of it. See, you have the option of adding questions. And after you add each question, you must click on save. You can randomize your answers so that each student has a different set of answers. And when you're done, you will say, I'm done. If you haven't finished, you save. If you have finished, you say, I'm done. I just need another 5 minutes and not more than that. Now you saw me creating just a set of multiple choice questions. Very easy, easier than your Google Forms. Okay, now see how it comes out. Now, this is a game called Have You Heard? H-E-R-D. Now, you want to build a music band, okay? You want to have your own music band, and the aliens from other planets are going to give you a music band. They are ready to give you their musicians, which are also aliens. So, you have to click on Add Member in order to build your band, okay? There, the spaceship is coming. Now, when I click on an alien, I can listen to its sound. I'll have a preview of the sound that it makes. Okay. Now, if I want this alien, I should answer this question. Okay. Now, if I keep the alien near the mic, the sound will be too much for me. So I'm moving it away from the mic. And remember one thing, please look at what is given down there. If I answer wrong, the alien ship will take all the 3 aliens and go away. So I will not have a perfect band. This is how the game is played. So it's played till you have a whole set of aliens and you've answered all your questions. So what did I do? Did I design a game? No, I didn't do anything. All I did was this. This is just a 1 minute. Now, how to build games. This is what I want to show you. There are 20 games. I've chosen the game Beekeeper. Okay, there are 20 games. Now you need 7 questions to be one player. 11 questions you can play with another person. 16 questions you can play with 4 people also. So I want to create a new game. If I click on create, it will be the same window which opens, creating multiple choice questions. This is the same window which will open. I'll just show you how this game is played. It won't take a minute. So I want to play alone. Now, 11. So just as you play, snake and ladder, trade and all that, so the bee will move 11 spaces up. Okay. But for that, you have to answer the question. Only then the bee will move. And if you get even one of your questions wrong, your answer is wrong, the bee cannot reach the honey. On the other hand, let's say I've given 10 questions to my students and the first 7 are right. Sometimes the bee will reach the honey even after answering the 7th question. So that is a bonus that the students get. So this is how the game is played. I'll just show you. See, so it's moved 11 spaces up. So this is how it is done. So, ladies and gentlemen, which of these defines you? Do you want to be the frog in the well? Or do you want to be baby rat who was able to adapt very quickly? The choice is yours. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, organizers. Thank you, participants. And thanks to my dear friends who have been a moral support to me in every sense of the word. I'll be very happy to answer questions if any.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, ma'am. It is a real feast to listen to you, ma'am. Your ideas are forceful,
which never allowed us to have second thought about it. The analogies you have given for the definition of blended learning remain in our minds forever, such as coconut chutney. And you made us to understand that restructuring the process of teaching is the need of the hour. And I have a few questions from the audience, ma'am. Shall I?
Definitely. Yes, please.
Actually, Dr. Anita, the question is from Dr. Anita. She asked what would be the future of online teaching? Either we'll be going for a complete change or combination.
See, to start with, we will always go with a combination. As of now, in the present situation, we are going with only online teaching. And I think the news on 13th July clearly indicated that Google is planning to team up with the Central Board of School Education to train 1 million teachers on offering blended learning to students. So this means something good. So they are planning to strike a balance. We've been struggling because there's been no balance so far. So they're starting with blended learning and gradually it may move on to online learning as well.
Okay. The second question is, which one is better for the students? Online teaching or classroom teaching? There is also another question which is similar to that. Which one will be convenient for the students, online or classroom teaching?
It depends on what type of learners you're dealing with. Now, if you're dealing with learners who have problems with the internet, who come from rural areas, I think most teachers have this problem, especially those government colleges and private colleges which are located in the heart of rural India. They, I'm sure, have a lot of problems to face. So, they have to come up with a lot of challenges and they have to come up with newer tools to help those students. So it depends on the type of learners you're dealing with. Some of my learners, for example, my learners are used to online learning. Some of their courses which they study in semester 1 and 2 are taught online. Some of them are taught face to face. So my students are, quite versed at online learning. But even then, because the culture and the society matters a lot, they belong to a closed society. They don't even show their face, at least the women, they don't show their face in public. So for them, face-to-face teaching is so nice because that sense of proxemics is very welcome to them. So it depends on what type of learners you're dealing with. And there's one question which came across. One of the teachers had asked in the chat box, I saw that popping up, how to add students to this particular website which I was talking about. The same way, just as you sign in, they will also sign in or sign up, but they will sign up as students, not as teachers. So that is the difference. And I see Professor Anthony Sami's question.
Sami.
Yes, I saw his question. Yes, Professor.
What is the role of
gamification? The role of gamification. Well, what I showed you here is what we call structural gamification. There are two types. Content gamification, where the teaching content itself is structured like a game. For example, instead of giving a lecture, I structure the aspects of my lecture like a game and I provide it to the students. That becomes content gamification or a teaching game. Now, what I showed you is a testing game. Structural gamification is mostly a testing game, not a teaching game. So gamification these days is gaining a lot of momentum. People stagnate with Kahoot. They think that if they use Kahoot in the classroom, that is gamification. No, there is much more than Kahoot in the world of gamification. So you must learn to experiment with more tools, more apps in order to make gamification challenging. Otherwise, it's going to stagnate. Any more questions?
That's all. No more questions from the audience. We have come to the end of the session. It is indeed a honor and privilege to say thanks on behalf of the collaborating organizing team. It is a delight to listen to you, ma'am. Thank you very much for the insightful and informative talk. Thank you,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
There are few instructions for the participants. I have two announcements. One is on feedback, other one is on confirmation form. The feedback form, as usual, it will be sent at the end of the third session through YouTube channel, Zoom chat, and Telegram group. Second thing is about the confirmation form. It will be sent to register mail ID on the final day. Kindly be careful while filling up the details because the same will be printed in the certificate. The next session, I'll hand over to Dr. K. Ravichandran, Associate Professor of English, Thiruvalluvar University. Over to Dr. Ravichandran.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Dr. Ravichandran of English, Thiruvalluvar University. Been assigned the role of moderating these technical sessions. You know pretty well that the conference, International Virtual Conference 2020, it's a 5-day international web conference on Industry 4.0 scenario, redefining language and literary studies, hosted by 4 famous institutions, namely Thiruvalluvar University, Vellore, Lailo College, Chennai, Sacred Art College, Tirupattur, Government Thirumagal Mills College, Kudiyatham. This is the 4th day of this conference. Actually, this technical section is dedicated to Professor Dr. Clement S. Lourdes, Professor of English, Pondicherry University. He is going to deliberate on religion and spiritual identity in literature. You know, Professor Dr. S. Lourdes is a widely known teacher, and he is a creative writer, critic, translator, self-taught artist, and a specialist in Indian writing in English and translation studies. He received his PhD degree from the Pondicherry University for the thesis entitled The Image of India in the Select Works of Gandhi, Nehru, and Nirat Chaudhary in 1993. He is also the author of Prabhanjan's Quill and Other Stories, and he has edited 3 books which include Confluences, Studies in Comparative Literature, and Comparative Discrimination Studies in Literature. He had been the editor of Prerna, Students' Journal of Pondicherry University. His other publications include articles, reviews, and research papers in journals like Calicut University Research Journal, Sri Aurobindo Action, Rock Pebbles, Journal of Indo-Asian Studies, PCM Award Evening Supplement, Pondicherry University Journal of Social Sciences and Humanities, etc. He has contributed a series of 15 articles of social sciences and humanities. And he has also contributed articles to PCM Children's Magazine. He also done an extensive research on Arundhati Roy's works and submitted a monograph on her under UGC minor project scheme in 2001. He is also the recipient of Pavendra Pugal Award in the year 2010 for his outstanding contribution to art and literature. He has visited Reunion University of France under a faculty exchange program and delivered a series of 15 lectures on recent Indian English fiction. He is a well-known artist, and his works have gone on display at several exhibitions in India and abroad. Some of his pencil sketches have won the approval of the leaders of USA, UK, Russia, France, Rome, Saudi Arabia, Denmark, Australia, Israel, etc. His pencil sketches of the art craft flown by #1 Squadron of the Indian Art Force have been appreciated by the 3 service chiefs and are permanently displayed in the Tigers Air Force Museum, Gwalior. Pondicherry Doordarshan and AMN TV have telecast separate program highlighting his artistic achievements, and the New Indian Express published an exclusive interview with him. Presently, Dr. Clement Lourdes is a professor in the Department of English, Pondicherry University. I welcome Professor Clement Lourdes to deliberate on religion and spiritual identity in literature.
I am very happy to speak on a very interesting topic, religion and spiritual identity in literature. This has been a much debated topic, I should say, because some people are of the opinion that without religion there is no literature. But some are of the opinion that religion has nothing to do with literature. But whatever be the fact, if you go to the origin of English literature, if we go to the father of English literature, the father of English poetry, Chaucer, you understand that he has been very much indebted to religion. But you may say, Chaucer is not in favor of religion, but he vehemently criticized priests, nuns and all that. It is true that he criticized priests, nuns, etc. But these are a few individuals. But his anger is not on the religion, but on a few individuals. And when you go to Milton's Paradise Lost, he himself says that he wanted to write this book in order to justify the ways of God to men. And the epic begins with the very famous invocation of man's first disobedience. Here there is a small problem, because when you read Paradise Lost and compare Paradise Lost with the Bible, you know fully well that without Bible this book could not have been written. But at the same time, Milton takes liberties with the Bible. As I already told you, in the invocation itself of man's disobedience, there is a small problem. When you read Paradise Lost, you understand that Milton mainly accuses Eve. Eve becomes his target. It is all because of Eve's temptation. Adam is committing the great sin. He tastes the fruit of the forbidden tree. And it is all because of Eve. And there is an argument between Adam and God in Paradise Lost. Adam is accusing God that he should not make him a victim of this great sin. Why? Because Adam complains to God that he has not asked him to create Eve. And God himself created Eve and made Eve his playmate. And he argues with God that you are chasing me out from this paradise. It is all because of the sin committed by Eve. It is all because of the sin committed by my counterpart. And why are you driving me out from this palace? You should drive Eve out. But this particular episode is not there in the Bible. And Milton himself has introduced this particular scene in order to highlight certain specifications. But if you go by his words of man's first disobedience, you may not be able to get the correct answer. But one critic has come out with an explanation. Whether it is acceptable to us or not, it's a different question. But it is a very ingenious way of explaining. He asks us to go to that particular statement and he wants us to reread it of man's first disobedience. OF, of man's first disobedience. But he says that there is a pun on that word of, OF. It is not of, but it is half, HALF. Of man's disobedience. Of man, if you believe in Athanori concept, then of man is none other than Eve. So he is very much preoccupied with Eve's disobedience and not Adam's disobedience as such. When we come to Shakespeare, again you find that Shakespeare is an author who is very much indebted to the Bible. And all through the plays you find there are a lot of quotes from the Bible. And there are certain plays where you cannot categorize them under tragedy or comedy. You call them as problem plays. One such play, as we all know, is Merchant of Venice. You may even ask me why Merchant of Venice is called as a problem play. There also religion comes into focus. Shakespeare is very much interested in bringing out the divide between Christians and the Jews. And Bassanio gets money from Antonio to go to Belmont. And he wants to go to Belmont because he has a important thing to do there. Already he is in love with Portia, and Portia is also in love with him. But there is a demand. There is a casket scene, as you find in the play. And there are 3 caskets. Only a person who chooses the right casket where Portia's portrait is hidden can be her future husband. And this seems to be a little bit tricky. So many princes and so many warriors and so many VIPs come and they take part in this particular casket episode. But unfortunately, they are not able to select the right casket. And the casket scene gains its importance for one more important thing, because Shakespeare, in his over-enthusiasm to help Bassanio to choose the correct casket, has created a particular thing which seems to be a little bit annoying to the critics who are very fair in their judgment. Here only we try to find out whether Shakespeare is a person who is interested in the Christian faith. Is that the reason that he gives so much importance to this particular episode? Because, as I already told you, the 3 caskets are the golden casket, the silver casket, and the leaden one. And in fact, all the princes who came earlier, they were not able to select the right casket because they were under the impression that such a great lady as Portia, such a beautiful woman as Portia, the portrait should be hidden only in the golden casket. That is supposed to be the right choice. And if at all it is not possible, the second choice is the silver casket. But nobody can think of selecting the leaden one because it is a kind of a baser metal. Such a woman's portrait, they could not keep it in that particular casket. This may be the reason that why these great princes were not able to select the right casket. When you read the play very carefully, you can understand that when the princes come to select the casket, Portia is merely a spectator. Portia is not interested in them because already the groom has been chosen and she wants to get married only to Bassanio. Therefore, when Bassanio comes, she is very much interested that Bassanio should select the right casket. Not only that, if Bassanio selects a wrong one, then he could not marry Portia, number 1. Number 2, he has to remain as a bachelor throughout his life. And again, he has to make a determination, an oath that he should not tell this, the secret, to anyone, because the choice is very much limited. If somebody tells others that he has selected the golden casket and Portia's portrait was not there, then the choice becomes very, very limited. The other two, they will either go for silver or for the leaden casket. But I want to draw your attention to this particular episode where when Bassanio comes to select the casket, Portia very innocently tells, let us have some music, let us have some song. But when the music is played, there lies the secret. And only when you read that particular verse very carefully, accompanied by music, you will understand that a clue is offered silently to this man while selecting the casket. Tell me, where is fancy bread? How it is fed? How it is nourished? Reply, reply, like that the song goes. Again, have a look at the song. Tell me, where is fancy bread? How it is fed? How it is nourished? And when you look at the end rhymes, you can understand that this is one way of telling, cautioning rather, Bassanio to go for the right casket. That is the leaden one. After bread comes nourished. In the beginning itself, you have the word fed. Fed, bread, nourished. The next one is lit. And some critics are of the opinion that the song has got its own substance, its own clue. And when you go for this song, you will understand that there is a hidden clue, it's quite obvious. And this must have prompted Bassanio to select the right casket, the leaden one. Here, Shakespeare appears to be partial. And the Christian faith that he has seems to be a little bit wavering because of the over enthusiasm to save Bassanio. Because if Bassanio is not getting married to Portia, then the story will be different. But why Shakespeare goes to the extent of favoring Bassanio? Well, we can't arrive at any correct answer. And similarly, when you come to the end of the play, Shylock is punished. And again you find that here also you can go to your own way of interpreting the story. Because when justice is done to Shylock, when the Duke pronounces his judgment, we know that he is a very cruel man and he should not have demanded 1 pound of flesh from the heart part of a human being. And that is why the Duke says that you must be a wolf for that matter. And all the other characters accuse this man for being so cruel. But at the same time, when you come to the judgment, to the last part of the play, the Duke pronounces the judgment and the Duke says that all the property of Shylock will be confiscated by the Duke. It goes to the government. Well, this is what we also want to do. Such a man should not thrive. His end must be like this. But the judgment never stops here, but it goes a little beyond. Again, this is where the problem comes, because the Duke says, you must be converted to Christianity. You cannot embrace your Jewish faith anymore. And you must be forcibly converted into Christianity. And this is the one that he cannot tolerate. He begs that the second judgment is very cruel because he happens to be every inch a Jew. But the Duke is adamant and you know what is going to be the result. He will be converted to Christianity. And now in the modern criticism, if we call this as a problem play, it is understood, it is all because of this judgment. The judgment is something that we cannot swallow it. It is not something for the weaker stomachs to enjoy. Only when you have that kind of strong Christian faith, you will be able to accept it to some extent. But it seems to be a kind of a judgment that doesn't seem to be a good one. That's all we can say. Another thing is, one of the important critics of Shakespeare is Dr. Johnson. And when Dr. Johnson edited the very famous work, Preface to Shakespeare, he came out with his own criticism. And Dr. Johnson is a moralistic critic, a man caring for the moral and the spiritual values in literature. If it is not there, Dr. Johnson would say that it is better not to read that literature at all. It was at the time when Shakespeare was hailed to the skies. It was at the time when critics started arguing that Shakespeare is a kind of a person where he will not commit mistakes and he is incapable of committing mistakes. That means what? Shakespeare is simply considered as a man larger than life size. He is a demigod. And he is a person who has been born to save this world, the literary world. To that extent, people marveled at his scholarship. It is true. But Dr. Johnson started evaluating the works of Shakespeare with his scale, the Augustan criticism. The first thing that he noted in his plays, the absence of moral. That means whenever there is a chance of telling the people that this is how the thing should be morally, he usually keeps quiet. Even when you take as you like it, you understand that he did not say anything about the conversion of an evil man when he gets into the forest of Arden. When he comes out, you find that he is a changed person, a reformed person, a transformed person. Well and good, but how the change has taken place? Is this a kind of a magical forest where if anybody stumbles into it, will come out as a reformed person? No. But when he is getting a chance of preaching moral, when he is getting an opportunity of telling the people the moral concepts, Shakespeare is silent. He will not tell that. And another thing is, Dr. Johnson accuses Shakespeare of killing people, both good and bad. Or in other words, there is no poetic justice. That means justice is done at last. In all the places that you can find that the evil persons will be punished. No doubt. But there is no poetic justice in the sense, along with the evil men, the good men, the righteous men, and some saintly personalities will be also killed. When you take the case of Hamlet, you find that not only the evil men are disposed, but you find on the stage the dead bodies of so many people who do not deserve death. This is something very shocking to Dr. Johnson. Why Shakespeare kills so many people when it is absolutely not necessary? Why he is interested in disposing of both the evil and the good characters as well? So justice is not done. And this is another accusation, major accusation made by Dr. Johnson. But Shakespeare leaves everything to God. And in providence, it can happen. And that is what he means. He is not interested in telling something which is unreal. The realistic picture he wants to paint. Therefore, as Dr. Johnson himself said in some other place, that the good and bad, the evil and the good, they coexist in this world. And the playwright's duty is to picture in the proper colors, with graphic details, the picture of both good and evil. That is what Shakespeare also did. Because as a playwright, his duty is to mirror nature. That means his duty is to mesmerize us with words and tell us about what is happening around the world in a very realistic way. A true lover of Shakespeare will not find any kind of fault in this. But when you apply moralistic criticism, you find that there is something wrong, gone somewhere, that you cannot avoid. If you go to Mahatma Gandhi's very famous autobiography, the story of my experiments with the truth, every Indian should read this famous autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi, not only for the simplicity you find in that book, not only for his confessional mode of writing the autobiography, but when you want to know the life in its proper color, you should read that book, because Mahatma Gandhi tells about his transformation. He did not like whenever he is referred to as Mahatma. He says that this very word, this epithet added to my name, it pains me. I am not a Mahatma, because I know the value of this particular, epithet. How can you attribute this to a human being like me, a sinner like me? But anyway, he says, if at all you call me as a Mahatma, you may be interested to know that how I was converted into a Mahatma. I am only an ordinary human being. But he says that it is all because of a book. Whether you are interested in reading the entire autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi or not, it's a different question. But at least we should read one particular chapter as students of literature, because it has got its own value. There, the religion and literature, they mingle as one. The magic spell of a book, but he has not given what actually is the name of that book there in the title of the chapter. But when you read the chapter, it is something very, very interesting. He says that he was reading that particular book, he did not even say what actually is that book. He says, when I was reading the book in the train, I thought, when I get down from the train, I should put all those things what I have read during my journey, I want to put everything into practice. And the book is none other than the very famous book of Ruskin, Unto This Last. The title itself is taken from the Bible. all the biblical implications, all the biblical things you find there in a diluted form. And Ruskin, after reading the Bible, he has been so very much influenced by the scripture that he wrote this book. It is nothing but a condensed form of the Bible. In fact, Mahatma Gandhi also read the Bible, but unfortunately he started with the Old Testament. He says that I began with the Old Testament, especially with that particular book called Numbers. It did not interest me at all, because it has only facts and figures. If this is a Bible, what is the use of reading this? And how the Christians read this Bible and say that it is one of the wonderful books of the world. It is not so. That is what he thought. But after some time, he started reading the New Testament, especially the Sermon on the Mount. And again I can say that the Sermon on the Mount has converted Gandhi into a Mahatma, as he already experienced in the train reading Ruskin's unto this last. Therefore, you find that there is a kind of a blending between literature and religion. And he did not make any kind of a difference. He simply took Jesus as a Messiah. He simply considered Jesus Christ as an extraordinary human being. And therefore, he thought that whatever I thought, whatever I visualized about the world and my neighbors, I find it in this particular book. Therefore, it has got its own profundity. It has got its own impact on an individual. That is the power of a religion. A religion has got its own way of, changing the soul of a being. But at the same time, when you read Browning's Fra Lippo Lippi, you will understand that religion is questioned. The religion in the sense that the practices, the rules and regulations. In literature, there are some people, there are some writers, they started questioning why this kind of imposition on the people. And in fact, when you read this poem, it's a very moving one. Browning's Fra Lippo Lippi. How a young boy was taken to the monastery and he was converted as a priest by one aged monk. The boy was just lying on the bazaar because he was starving and he did not have any food to eat. Therefore, when this monk comes and asks the boy, would you like to join monastery? The boy simply thinks about bread, wine, fruits and all those things that you have in the monastery. This is what he heard about. But he did not, at that time, being a very small boy, did not see the difficulties on the way when he grows up. What is more important now? Only food and shelter. And he will be able to get in the monastery. He simply accepts. And he was not at that time interested to become a monk, but he was forced into this particular field. The monk takes him, and there he grows. In the monastery he grows. And when he reaches his adolescence, he finds it very difficult to cope with the stress of the monastery. And he has been commissioned by a duke to draw some paintings because he happens to be a good painter. He has been commissioned to draw sketches for the duke in his gallery. It was on the top floor. He goes there and he was actually painting the pictures on the wall, and through the window he happens to see people going and coming out in a particular house which happens to be the house of a prostitute. And the man is so very much tempted because he is young. He could not resist the temptation. At that time, if a monk goes to these type of shady houses, harlot's house, he can be arrested. Therefore, when the poem begins, you find that this young man, the monk, has gone into this house and he was coming out in the darkness. And the policemen, they shine the torch on this man and then they are asking him, who are you? He says, don't shine the torch on my face. I introduce myself. I will tell you my story. And then he tells the entire story that this is not my choice. I have been forced into. I became a monk out of necessity. It is not a calling. And then what happened, when I saw near my house where I am doing this, the prostitute's house, I could not simply resist my temptation. And if you think that I have done something wrong, then you can arrest me. But the police inspector himself comes forward, I will take you to the monastery, father. That means what? What this man has done is not a great sin according to the policeman. After listening to his story, he says, let me shine the torch now so that you can go to your monastery safely. But the monk tells the police inspector, not needed. Don't do that, because I know my way. I came during the time of darkness and I have to recede into darkness. I have to go back to my monastery only in darkness. And it has got its own symbolical significance, because in the darkness he has committed a sin. Therefore he is not going to see the light anymore, nor he is interested in that. Because this happened in darkness, let me also recede into the darkness. And there all the people are just standing and the man makes his own way out. Not only in great works, the writers bring religion into their fold, but in some small poems also, they have preached the Christian doctrine in a very, very distilled form. One such poem is Abu Ben Adam by Lee Hunt. It's a poem of love. Abu Ben Adam happens to be a very good, generous person and is very much interested in helping his neighbors. And in his enthusiasm, or rather over-enthusiasm to help his neighbors, he did not care about God. He did not go to the church. But he thinks that serving humanity, serving the neighbors, this is more than enough. And the poem begins by saying that one day he wakes up during the night time and he happens to see an angel writing in a book of gold the names of those who love God. And hesitatingly, Abu Ben Adam is asking whether his name is there. The angel looks at the book and gives a negative answer to Abu Ben Adam. He is very much crossed. And he says, if you have a book where the people who are loving the neighbors can be included, please consider my case. The angel disappears. The next day, at about the same time, the angel appears again with the same book of gold, which has the names of those who love God. And the angel tells Abu Ben Adam, your name tops the list. Now, you can very easily understand, loving neighbors and loving God are one and the same. Abu Ben Adam did not love God in the truest sense of the word. Perhaps he might have experienced it. But he loved his neighbor. And Jesus preached that you love your neighbor. And this is a kind of a superior command he has given. And Abhimanadam has fulfilled it. And therefore, in this short poem, we find that loving the neighbor is the core concept of Christianity. Another poem that also speaks about the act of revenge and forgiveness is Yusuf by James Russell Lowell, the modern poet. In this poem, you come across a very, very kind, but at the same time, an able leader, Yusuf. And during the battle, because a battle is going on between two tribes, and Yusuf happens to be the chief of one particular tribe. And when this battle is going on, all of a sudden, one enemy soldier storms into his camp, because the enemy soldier knows fully well whoever goes to Yusuf, Yusuf will never give a negative answer. Yusuf will try to protect them. Such a kind-hearted person. He will not show any kind of difference between friend and enemy. So when he goes and says, "Sir, I know your generosity. I know your good nature. Therefore, I came here to take shelter in your camp." And immediately Yusuf says, "Yes, of course, I will help you. But tomorrow you have to go out. I will give my swiftest horse. I will give you a bag of gold. With that, you have to go." And this is the first time that this enemy soldier happens to see Yusuf face to face. And he has also experienced the generosity of this man. And now he understands that this man is an extraordinary individual. He is protecting an enemy in his own camp, even though he happens to be the chieftain. This is too much. Now comes the confession on the part of the enemy. The soldier says, "Sir, you have been so kind, and therefore I must make my confession. I am the one who has killed your son just some time ago." And immediately he knows what would be the result. Yusuf would kill him. Okay, he is happy to be killed by Yusuf. But Yusuf says, "Tomorrow morning, as I already told you, I will give my swiftest horse. Before dawn, you have to get away from my camp. And I promised you one bag of gold, but now I promise you 3 bags of gold." Why 3 bags of gold? Because when you are going out, you are taking with you a very, very bad thought, which would have slowly killed me. And this bad thought is the act of revenge. Therefore, you take my swiftest horse, and tomorrow before dawn you disappear from my camp. If my soldiers happen to see you, they will kill you. And therefore I am giving you 3 bags of gold for taking away with you one black thought. He calls it as black thought, because we all know forgiveness is the noblest form of revenge. The next poet is William Blake. William Blake, as we all know, lived in the 18th century. This is the age of reason. But unfortunately, William Blake started experimenting with imagination at that time. But imagination was not given top priority. As I already told you that this is the age of reason, and therefore Augustines did not like anyone talking about nature. Nature in the sense, their nature is different from our nature. Their nature is a human nature. But unfortunately, William Blake did not like the religious dogmas. He was dead against the religious rules. And in fact, he believed in God, and he was a God-fearing man. And he started experimenting with his own kind of poetry. And he himself a great painter. And when you look at the great artists of the world, Blake is also seen in that category as a great artist. And he is a self-taught artist and poet. And he started experimenting with his own kind of art. And he did not like that particular age itself because it is the age of reason, and he criticized Newton. And you can find a portrait made by William Blake, Newton stooping down and trying to, there is a world map under him, and he is trying to measure the world by using a small divider. According to William Blake, this seems to be a kind of foolishness on the part of the scientist. That is why he went on saying that he has got the divine inspiration to write poems. And when somebody asked him, "Can you tell me the world's best poem?" Immediately William Blake said, Jerusalem. Jerusalem happens to be his own creation, his own poem. And perhaps you may think that this is not an act of modesty on the part of the poet to praise his own poem and saying that this happens to be the world's best poem ever. He is the author, and how can the author himself say that his poem is supposed to be the best of all the poems in the world? But when asked to explain why he says so, William Blake said that because I did not write this poem, this has been totally dictated to me by some hidden force. I am just a kind of a mediator. I just dotted down, that's all. That is why I am saying, I am praising my own poem because this happens to be a kind of a poem which has been totally dictated, word by word. That is what he said. And he himself has written a small poem, The Garden of Love, that is the title of that poem. And this consists of only two parts. The first part speaks about his early days as a boy. He used to go to the church compound and play with the other boys. The church door is opened, and there are a lot of flowers, and there are grass, and the boys cries when they play. You can hear them. But in the second part, William Blake starts giving us a kind of gloominess prevailing the atmosphere. And between the two paragraphs, there is a time gap. Because in the second paragraph, you find the poet now has grown into a young person. He goes to the same chapel to have a look at it. But unfortunately, what he happens to see there shocks him. There are no boys playing, and the church door is closed, over which it is written, "Thou shalt not." And now it is quite obvious what actually he wants to say. He wants to tell us that the religious impositions on the individuals is something that should be avoided. Why? Because these do's and don'ts would upset a person striving for liberty and freedom. He must be given full freedom to appreciate the church, to appreciate God. And religion should not stand in between. That is his contention. It doesn't mean that he is not a religious person as such. He is a God-fearing man, no doubt. But by projecting the church in a very different way, because in the second stanza, you find that not even one small child is playing. And not only that, in the place of that garden, because the title of the poem is The Garden of Love, that in the place of garden you find only a graveyard. And over the graveyard you can see priests in black cassocks. That means in the mourning dress. It is a place of funeral. Funeral rites are going on. Therefore, the priests are not in a very happy mood. They have dressed for this particular mournful occasion. There is a big lamentation going on. What has gone wrong in the church? This is what he wants to know. Yes, there is something terribly gone wrong. And when you put all the bits and pieces together, you find that the imposition of the rules and regulations, the over-imposition of rules and regulations, I should say, this is the thing that has distanced the people from the church. That is what he says in that small poem. And the non-believers, when they talk about literature and religion, they will usually go for Christopher Marlowe, the very famous writer, and they will take him as an example of a person, a great person who didn't believe in God. But of course, in my opinion, they go wrong. And the usual play they cite is Dr. Faustus, because Dr. Faustus is ready to sell his own soul for the earthly pleasures of 24 years. This has been promised by Mephistopheles to this great man, and he is ready to do that. But before that, when you go through the play, you find Dr. Faustus in a dilemma. He takes all the books and all sorts of, dogmas in order to find out the truth. He takes the Bible, whether it is worth following Bible or not, whether religion will be of any kind of help to an individual or not. Being an educated man, he tries to find out what actually is the essence of the Bible. The Bible says the reward of sin is death. But as we all know that everyone is going to die, Dr. Faustus questions it. Anyway, you are going to die. But why should I lead a sinless life? If you say that the reward of sin is death, then I must be somewhere or other that I should escape from death. But it is not there. I am going to die just like a sinner, even if I lead a life of righteousness. And therefore, religion seems to be a kind of a baffling thing before him. He's confused. But when you go to the last part of it, when the time comes, the devil is going to appear, and the devil is going to throw open his heart. His heart will be ripped apart, and the soul will be taken away by the devil. At that time, because this is the bargain, 24 years of earthly pleasure, this is over, and time has come that he has to gift away his soul to the devil. But you find Dr. Faustus in a very big confusion. Why? Because he wants to pray to God. and he wants to escape from this fate, but he could not. He looks at heaven and tries to pray to Jesus, and he thinks that even one drop of blood from the body of Jesus Christ would help him now. And he knows fully well that Jesus Christ, who helped a criminal at the hour of his death, would certainly help him. But he feels that somebody is pulling him away because he is going to do a certain thing which would possibly help him out. And the devil wants that this scientist should not experiment with this thing. And therefore, the devil seems to be pulling him back. By showing this, Christopher Marlowe proves himself to be a person who has faith in him. He cannot be called as an atheist. He is not an atheist. It is very clear from this story that the sinner who tries to pray, who makes an attempt to pray, and at the last moment there is an opportunity for him to get rescued. And that is what he has been trying. Even the Indian English novelists, they experimented with religion and the religious principles, and they wanted to use the materials for their novels. And if you go to the big three, Mulkraj Anand, Raja Rao and R.K. Narayan, R.K. Narayan seems to be turning to religion and the principles of religion again and again. And in some of his novels you find that this has taken a good shape. But in the later novels of R.K. Narayan, what seems to be governing the best is a novel called A Tiger for Malgudi. It should not be confused with Man-Eater of Malgudi. And it is a very, very humorous novel because R.K. Narayan himself is a very humorous writer. And the subject that he has taken for this particular novel is an enlightened tiger. A tiger which can understand anything because the tiger has been born like that. And that is why R.K. Narayan calls this tiger as an enlightened tiger. In the beginning it was not so, but the tiger is now being escorted by one tiger hermit. And the tiger goes to the forest with the tiger hermit, and the hermit teaches love, Bhagavad Gita, and so many other things to this tiger. First it appears to be a kind of a brute, but the tiger himself says that when my master called me, I left everything. And I thought of killing him first, but I could not simply, because I felt that my claws are not having the capacity to strike at my master. And I became a very tamed thing. And therefore it started following the master almost like a dog. They go to the hilly region, a small jungle, where the tiger cannot hunt for big game. But the tiger is satisfied with very small animals. And the tiger hermit teaches Bhagavad Gita to this enlightened tiger, and the tiger understands the concept of God. The tiger understands what actually is the religion. And after talking to the tiger for a very long time about God, the hermit or the master puts a question to it. The hermit is asking, I told so many things about God. Have you realized your God? Who is your God? And immediately the tiger answers, I think that my God is an enormous tiger. And in fact, the tiger hermit greatly appreciates this and says, you are right. For a human being is the God. And for you, the tiger, a tiger is a God. There is nothing wrong in that. And after that, they live in the forest for a long time, but both of them become old. And the tiger is gifted to a zoo. And the zoo owner happens to be a very kind person. And he takes charge of this tiger. Before leaving, the master tells the zoo owner that you protect this child, because to me the tiger is a child. And this is not an ordinary brute. Treat him not like an ordinary brute, but he is almost a human being at heart. It will not hurt anyone, and it will understand what you say. If you go to this tiger with an open mind, and if you stretch your hand for handshaking, it will do. To that extent, the tiger has been glorified by R.K. Narayan for the first time, because in the history of the novels you will never come across tiger becoming the protagonist of a novel. And R.K. Narayan did it, and it was a great success. When the new writers emerge in the field of literature, they will come out with certain techniques, the literary devices, which hitherto have not been explored. And their novels will be praised only for that particular purpose. You take, for example, Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things, which has won the Booker Prize. And the jury, consisting of 3 or 4 judges, when they read the book, they were very, very happy about the style of Arundhati Roy. They did not bother about the character, they did not bother about the situation, or they did not bother about the atmosphere or all the 3 ingredients that make a novel. But they are very happy with the style of writing. And in fact, this particular prize has been awarded to Arundhati Roy for one particular reason. And the jury has quoted it. The jury said that she is getting the prize for linguistic inventiveness. Linguistic inventiveness. This is for that purpose. Arundhati Roy got the prize. And when you go for these literary devices, the new techniques adapted by the writers, we cannot but think about the people who started experimenting with that style in literature. And when you go to the early days of literature, you can cite Bible as an example. This is where the literature and religion, they come together, because there is a kind of a stylistic device in literature. This is called acrostic. It is a kind of a pattern, and Arundhati Roy also did it in her novel. And if you happen to be an artist, that you can make a number of drawings out of it. Pattern kind of a thing. And pattern poetry, this has originated in Greek, and the writers experimented with this kind of devices. And when you go to the book of Proverbs, authored by Solomon, the last part of it, this is in praise of an ideal housewife. And some people, they are under the impression that the Bible did not give any importance to women. Let them read this particular book of Proverbs, they will understand that how much importance the author has given to an ideal wife. There is much praise. In fact, praise has been lavished on this particular woman, the ideal housewife, and what sort of glory that she brings to her husband. But when you take that part alone, consisting of a few lines at the end, this was done in acrostic style. But only when you go to the Greek and Hebrew literature, and when you read the Bible in those languages, you will be able to understand the device used by the author. But unfortunately, in translation, this is totally lost. Because if you go to the English version, you may not be able to find the acrostic kind of writing. Usually by acrostic, we say that there is a kind of a design. To put it very simply, the first letter in every sentence, when you read it in that way, either horizontally or vertically, you will be able to get a new meaning out of it. And sometimes it is stressed in the middle of the poem, and sometimes it goes back to the last. And the person who has started it, a person who experimented with this device, it is quite surprisingly Solomon. And he is the one who started this form. This kind of literature originated, this kind of a technique originated from the Bible. We should not forget that. From what we have seen so far, it is quite obvious that religion always influences literature. There are certain writers who are very particular in bringing out the religious values in their works. But there are some writers who turned against religion. But even if they turned against religion and started criticizing the church, they are not against the individuals. They always respected the individuality of the human beings. But the rigidity of the church has become their target. Therefore, in my opinion, without religion, there is no literature. To that extent, religion seems to be influencing literature. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation, sir. I request Professor Clement Lourdes to react on the questions raised by the participants. As one of the participants raised that, do you think in modern literature there is a disconnectedness between religion and spirituality? Sound. No audio.
Dear sir,
Yes, sir.
could you please check your audio, sir? Could you please, sir, this to the resource person. I think we couldn't hear him. Could you please ask him to check his
Sir,
audio?
Professor Clement, we cannot hear you, sir. Sir, please unmute your audio. Please unmute your audio.
Sir, the audio is unmuted. It is in the unmute mode, but the audio device is not connected. I mean,
Okay.
it is not picking up.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
he has someone to help him. We can see it on the screen. So I think, Professor Clement.
Yes, sir. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For that question, yes, really it is a very important question, I would say.
Okay.
Modern literature too, people have been very much obsessed with religion, but unfortunately, the modern writers, unlike the old writers, they go for some kind of religious controversies. For example, Dan Brown's novels, one after the other, it started creating some kind of stir. It started creating some kind of disturbance. So therefore, people started writing quite a lot about these novels because the religious issues have been tampered with, I would say, because the modern writers' interest in religion is quite understood. But at the same time, we should also consider that it is a very ticklish issue. It is not as simple as we think. Therefore, it should be brought to a certain level where no religious sentiment is hurt. In that way only we can approach the modern writers. And even now that there are quite a lot of books about religion and the religious issues. It's going on.
Thank you, sir, for your explanations. And another, participant asked, is it necessary to think about death after life with reference to Dr. Faustus, who enjoyed what he wanted?
Yeah, this resurrection kind of thing, that is a kind of afterlife. We now call it as afterlife.
Yes.
And there are certain books I can go on citing examples for that. But if you ask me personally whether there is afterlife or etc., as a Christian, I would say yes, nothing more than that. But if you talk religiously or scientifically or in other way, it all depends on how you take it. Because this is a certain kind of faith, I would say, and it has nothing to do with literature as such. Whether there is an afterlife or not, etc., that has to be discussed individually. It all depends on the individual's interest only, and we cannot come out with one particular idea or concept and say, yes, this is what it's going to be.
Thank you, sir. And a research scholar from Alagappa University has also raised a question: why Johnson accuses Shakespeare's plays?
Yes, I think that whether the candidate has followed what I spoke in the beginning or not, it is doubtful, I think, because Dr. Johnson accuses Shakespeare for two things. Number one, Shakespeare has not given much importance to the moral values. That means, whenever there is an opportunity of talking about morality, Shakespeare quite often keeps quiet, and he is not interested in dwelling on this particular subject and discuss elaborately about it. This is the first point. Second one, Dr. Johnson accuses Shakespeare for making tragic waste. Tragic waste means instead of killing the evil person, the person who happens to be the villain of the piece, Shakespeare goes on killing almost everyone except a few. Unnecessary deaths are taking place on the stage. And Dr. Johnson questions it, why this happens? And I think that candidate must have heard of Deus Machina. That means God from the machine. And in the Greek tragedies, a very big machine will be unlifted. That means God will descend on the stage towards the end of the play, so that the evil person will be punished and the good people will be protected and will be, protected by God. And this is what we call Deus Machina. But unfortunately, this is not happening in the place of Shakespeare, because along with the dead bodies of the villains, we find the dead bodies of hero, heroine, hero's friend, relatives, and all that. Why this unnecessary brutal killing? This Shakespeare could have been easily avoided. And if all the people are getting killed, then the faith itself is put into question. Why this happens? Because a very faithful man will having a kind of a wavering sense of attitude towards religion, and that is why Dr. Johnson questions Shakespeare for not giving importance to this particular aspect.
Thank you very much for your elaborate answer, sir. And another participant raised a question: religion and spirituality is individual, but literature is societal, which proclaimed the social awareness. How can religion combine with religion in modern times?
I think that I can go to Shakespeare and Dr. Johnson again in order to answer this question, because according to them, I mean, especially to Dr. Johnson, being a very famous critic, he is of the opinion that any literature for that matter, if it is not centering on the moral principles or the moral values, it's a useless literature. Because he is not a person to consider that as literature at all. It has to do with something with morality. It has to educate us with some kind of moral principle. And if there is no moral means, then what is the point of writing a book? Because the moral values are very important in his opinion, and therefore I also think of the same kind. The spirituality or religion, or let us forget about religion, because we are branding, one particular, faith. But if you talk about spirituality, I think that things would become much easier. If there is no the spiritual values, I think that there is no point in reading literature or writing literature.
Thank you, sir. And could you elaborate on the concept of Ardhanarishwarar and the depiction of women by Shakespeare?
I think that this is a kind of a question where I have no direct answer. The concept, as I already told you, that Milton we can say to some extent, as I already pointed out in my talk, of man first disobedience. I told you there is a pun on that word "of." It can be taken as OF or HALF. There you have the concept. Whether you can put this idea, into Shakespeare. I think that I should read more.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And there is another very interesting question, I suppose.
Yes.
What's the role of spirituality during this pandemic period?
Because in all the newspapers that we are reading much, in the form of jokes and in the form of famous sayings and all that. And I think that this kind of spirituality or religion comes into view. And one very famous person cautioned us at a time like this, especially in the hour of our crisis, even there is no God, God has to be created. That is what he said. I think now we have to create God, because our age is like that and our problems are multiplying. And whenever you take the newspaper, you have quite a lot of problems, and we are not seeing any good sign of relief. This is what we have been expecting. Therefore, as Victor Hugo said, any dark night will end and the sun will rise. I think that gives us quite a lot of hope for us. And even now, I think in this particular situation, that we can cling on to literature, especially the faith propagated by great writers like Victor Hugo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I think this seems to be the last question. Literature must talk about 4 fundamental questions: our genesis, destinations, actions, and the reasons for our actions. If you agree, kindly contextualize with Shakespeare. As he answered these questions, could you please elaborate on the concept of Ardhanarishwarar in the context of Shakespeare depiction of women?
Again, you have this. I do not know why there is so much obsession for this Ardhanari concept. As far as my knowledge goes, whether this Ardhanari concept would hold good for Shakespeare, as I already told you, I think it is a little bit doubtful. He must not even heard of this particular term. And you can only say that in Shakespeare plays, female dressed as males and males coming as females. This may be something common. In that way, you can talk about Ardhanari concept, and I don't find any full-fledged Ardhanari concept kind of theories you find in the plays of Shakespeare, as far as my knowledge goes.
Okay, sir. So thank you, sir. And we could wind up the session with this question. Shakespeare plays are with full of morals. At every corner of the play, one can find a legend to the people how to be in the society during Renaissance period.
Yes, yes. Yes, it is true. As I already pointed it out, it all depends on the way you look at the play. For example, as Dr. Johnson says that Shakespeare is not very easily or so elaborately discussed this particular point in his plays, but we have to eke out from that particular play. It is not something very evident for an individual to understand. And only when you read it very carefully, you will be able to find out much moral as you have pointed out. But usually for a very religious man like Dr. Johnson, they may still find him at fault because Shakespeare has never come out openly. Because there are some writers who openly exhibit their views, and there are certain writers where you have to read and find out what actually they are thinking about or what actually they taught. And Shakespeare belongs to the second category.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, on behalf of Tiruvallur University, Loyola College, Sacred Heart College, and Government Tirumagal Mills College, I profusely thank you, sir, for your wonderful lecture on religion and spiritual identity in literature.
Thank you.
Sir,
thank you so much, Ravichandran.
Thank you so much, sir, for having spared your invaluable time with us. And we expect, rather we anticipate the same expertise from you in the offing also, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Ravichandran.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, sir. Let's wind up these sessions. And I request all the participants be get ready for afternoon session that begins exactly at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Sir, you want to give any instructions?
No. If participants are not there, I just want to have a word with Father and Professor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can wait so that the participants can leave and rejoin at 2 o'clock. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's true. There are some 32, huh?
Professor, I'll come on your personal call. I'll come on your personal call.
Okay.
Professor Collins? Professor Collins?
Sir,
Professor Collins?
sir, go on. So, Father Maria here, yes, sir.
Yes, Father. Good morning, Father. Father, Dr. Moses Chalve has joined. And if
Shall we
Colin,
test it?
that is what. So
Okay.
it's
Moses Chalve. Right. Gone out. Sir, he assumed he has gone out.
okay.
If you can
I'll
ask
just
him to join in again, we'll test him.
Yeah, please, Father. Please. Okay.
The other participants, you may leave, please. The other participants who are still on Zoom, you may kindly leave. Yeah. Thank you for leaving. We are going to test for the afternoon session. We are going to have again a short test session. Thank you. Who? Okay, 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 okay. Okay. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, Father.
Okay, okay. Sir Clement sir is there, or I think no, yes, only the video is. Sir, just want to know I had sent you a private message just now. I sent a private message to you. The Sumaya about whom we spoke again, she has messaged saying, that why was I not listed like that? Did Sharmila call her? Any idea?
Sumaya.
Yeah.
I'll just check now. I don't.
Father, I have just called Moses, and
Yes,
I
sir.
couldn't talk to him, so I have sent him a message also. So
Okay.
probably he will find us.
Okay, sir.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Professor, you wanted to share something?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Professor, what is the stand for some of the paper presenters who feel that they were not accommodated during paper presentations, especially the Sumati ma'am session? She moderated only for 10, and because of the technical glitch, she left the meeting, and some of them are asking. One of them is from Fatima College. She is
Dr.
calling.
Cyrus.
Yeah, she's calling, and also Sharmila. I told Sharmila to accommodate it today. I will
Yes.
moderate that session today. No issue.
Very
Oh,
good.
no problem.
Please do. I think it is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yesterday
I'll
also
do.
discussed this, I believe.
Now,
Because I myself and Vasagi, we felt that the left out participants, the paper presenters, should given a chance. But when we as a team decided something different, we go by the decision of our team. But still, the point is there are many paper presenters who
Sir?
cannot present their papers. So because they have been sending messages both in the private as well as in the common arena.
forum.
Yeah, so it is better to give them a chance. That's what still I believe.
Yeah, that is absolutely true, sir. Especially if it is of no fault of theirs. If it is of no fault
that
of
is
theirs,
that is true.
that
That will
if
be
it
there,
is
Father.
That
That
is
will
what.
be said. That will because what I say is I think this took place regarding the Fatima issue. I took to the notice of Professor already because this took place on the second day itself.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Second day.
And she could not present in the third day also. Okay. So even though the moderator called the participant, but I do not know what happened. So she was trying to connect us or contact us from day 2 onwards. So it is our duty to give the participant a chance to present her idea.
Sure, sure.
We'll put it like that, Professor. No issues.
Okay.
Even if it goes to 2 chat rooms, well and
Yeah,
good.
that's true. That is true.
Well and good.
Okay.
Well and
I will let you know. Ask
yeah, please.
Shamila to brief me, and I will call you privately, both you and father, and decide.
Please,
Right?
please. We'll
In
decide.
case
We'll
it
decide.
goes beyond one room, if it goes beyond one room, I will call you.
Yeah,
Okay,
we are ready. We are ready to help.
Okay,
No
okay.
issues.
Yeah, that's the only clarification I wanted to make.
So this session by Professor Clement was an excellent one, I believe.
Excellent one. Is he here? Shall we have a word with him?
He is there. He's still, Clement Lutz is there. But only thing is, I don't think his mic is
No.
connected.
Yeah, no. The point is, he connected from 2 devices.
Okay.
I think one from laptop and another one from mobile.
That
so
is true.
1 second, I'll ask Professor Clement whether
call
he can.
Call Professor.
Yeah,
and
1 second. 1 second. Please hold on. I'll call him.
He's not online, sir. I think he has logged out.
You may admit him. No, he is still there. Yeah.
He cannot. No, sir. He logged in through 2 devices. I think he has logged out through the main device. The another device is there, but the audio is not enabled.
அவங்கள accommodate பண்ணிடுங்க. எவ்வளவு பேர் வராங்க புது அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணு
Professor வந்துட்டாருங்களா? சார் வந்துட்டாருங்களா?
Is he?
Sir, he is joining. He is joining. Just a minute, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. He is online. Just a minute, sir. Let him. Yes, sir. He is online.
Yes. Professor, good afternoon. Dr. Clement. This is Professor Anthony Sami. You still remember me?
Tell me, sir.
Thank you for a wonderful session.
Thank you so much.
I felt I was sitting in my MA English Literature classroom listening to my own masters. that was the feel that you gave me. Thank you for that feeling, nice feeling. Thank you, doctor.
I'm really happy to get this comment from you.
Doctor, do you remember I came to your department for a session on soft skills some years back?
Yes, sir. Yes, I remember.
Yeah, I'm the same old Anthony Sami. That pun on the word old. I'm really old now.
But not looking old.
Thanks to Godrej, sponsored by Godrej.
Professor, I don't believe in Godrej. So
try some other mark. Brand.
Sir Clement sir, ரொம்ப நாளுக்கு அப்புறம் உங்க லெக்சர் இன்னைக்கு கவனிக்கிறேன். கலக்கி எடுத்துட்டீங்க. அது கிளமெண்ட் சாருக்கு இன்னும் வயசான லெக்சரை பார்த்தா தான் எங்களுக்கு தெரியுது. ஆண்டனி சாமி சார் சொன்னதுக்கு சேர்த்து பதில் சொல்லிடுறோம் நாங்க.
கரெக்ட்.
Sir, thank you, sir. It was as usual you rock. Thank you so much. After attending refresher course in 2000, after 1990, I was listening to you. I was reminded of Pinchin's lecture which you gave in the refresher course. So, thank you for being part of this web conference, and it was nice listening to you, sir.
Sir, Clement sir, one of our conveners, Dr. Father Maria Arakaraj is also here.
Sir, we're happy to meet you, sir. I was just attending your session. We tried to invite you to Sacred College a few times. We attempted, but we didn't succeed. But at least I had the pleasure of listening to you today. It was an excellent presentation. It was very comprehensive. You just went through practically a good list of works and the authors, poets. It was nice. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Very happy, sir. Very happy.
I would say
Professor
history of English literature covered at one shot.
Yes, that is true.
Professor Clement, one of our resource persons, Dr. Reverend Chalve Moses is also here. He is from Zambia. So it's nice to meet both the resource person at the same link. Professor Moses.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Kati.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Fine.
Yeah, except Zambia is very cold now. It's pretty cold.
Okay.
We just heard the climate about Zambia. It's very cold now.
Yeah.
Dr. Suma was telling it.
Yeah.
So,
when is your session?
Dr. Moses Chalve's session is tomorrow.
Yes. I'm on
afternoon.
Session.
Yeah. So this is for Professor Collins. Professor Collins, you can check with Dr. Reverend Chalve Moses.
It's enabled. It's enabled.
Yeah.
You can very well try. Professor Moses, you can share if you want to share your presentation.
Just a clarification. Is it Reverend Dr. Moses or is it Dr. Moses?
Yes, sir. No, he is a Reverend, sir. He is a Reverend Dr. Chalve Moses. He is also a Reverend.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Sir, you can ask the resource person to, sir.
A word with the Professor Clement. Sir, Professor Clement, sir. Yes, sir. We are just checking the connectivity for Professor Moses. You can also stay with us if you wish.
Yes, sir. No
Thank
problem.
you, sir. Okay. Yes, Professor Dr. Moses, do you want to share any PPT or how do you plan your presentation? Just for that we check.
Yes, I'm just finalizing the copy now. I should be able to send it in the next 30 minutes. I'm going to share both the Word documents and the PowerPoint.
So would you like to?
Okay.
Sir?
Pardon?
Hello?
Sir, can you hear me? Collins.
Yes, sir. I'll talk with the Professor Moses now.
Okay.
Is that okay, Professor Collins?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Professor Moses, day before yesterday, we had little bit of disturbance from a participant from Zambia. So that is the main reason we wanted you to be here with us today, and especially to check the bandwidth and other things. So this is a request from all of us. You can send the PowerPoint well in advance, so we can operate from here if it is problematic for you. And if there is any disturbance in video, please switch off the video and you can always talk over audio. So then you may not be using lot of data for audio. So if there is any problem, that is the point. If you are comfortable and if your bandwidth is very good, then
Stable.
please go with, yeah, please go with video and audio. If not, you can use audio alone. This is a request from the technical team because we faced some problem day before yesterday. So it's up to you, Dr. Moses. You can share your views.
Thank you so much. No, we'll be done. That PowerPoint will be shared in the next 30 minutes, but I'll also send a special document in Word, just in case students would want to have some kind of reference material after a lecture. That would be good for them to use.
Yeah, sure. Thank you then. Thank you then. Thank you. Yeah. Professor Collins?
Sir, I think it is not exactly communicated well. Dr. Moses, we just wanted to just ask you, sir, see, if you can send us the PPT presentation, we can play it from our system so that it does not take that kind of a bandwidth from yours from your side. That is the thing. So that you'll have more bandwidth for both audio and video. That is the thing. If you feel that there is no problem, there is no issue about it. Is that okay, Kandaresan sir? Kandaresan sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I will certainly share it for you so that you can help me with the presentation. I will send it in the next 30 minutes.
Okay. Okay. That's
okay. So now, since your connectivity is good at present, we don't have any problem. But we are worried about the real-time. The schedule. That's tomorrow. If there is any disturbance, then we'll play the PPT for you from here. You can come on audio. Otherwise, you can come on video and talk with the participants. Okay. So only worry is about the bandwidth problem. That is it. Thank you, Moses, for your cooperation. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thanks for meeting all of you. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah. Professor Collins, do you want to say anything to Moses?
No, sir. Are we not checking the PowerPoint today?
No, you will be sending
he'll
30
send
minutes
in 30
time.
minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Shall we close the meeting for lunch?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Moses.
We'll meet again. Yes.
God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Moses.
Thank
you all.
Professor Clement, Dr. Sir, ரொம்ப நன்றிங்க சார். Clement சார். Thank you, sir. சார் உங்க வாட்ஸ்அப் பாருங்க, ஒரு மெசேஜ் அனுப்பியிருக்கேன் சார். Clement சார், please respond.
I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye.